There's an old bridge on the edge of my town that no one really talks about anymore. People know it's there, just off Whitlow Road, past the tree line where the pavement turns to gravel, but they never go near it. Not since the disappearances. I'd heard whispers when I was a kid. Campfire stories, mostly. Don't cross the bridge at 3 a.m., they'd say. That's when the hollow man comes. I used to laugh it off. You would too. It sounded like small-town folklore meant to keep curious teens from wandering into the woods at night. But last month, I stopped laughing. See, I work the graveyard shift at the gas station near the highway. It's boring, sure, but it's quiet. Except for that night. March 3rd. A kid walked in, maybe 17, soaking wet like he'd been caught in a downpour. The sky had been clear all night. He was trembling. "Bridge," he mumbled, eyes darting around. "He's still there." I offered him a towel and called the sheriff, but the kid bolted out before anyone arrived. Just ran off into the dark, barefoot, mumbling nonsense about time and eyes and silence that breathes. 2 days later, they found him at the edge of the woods. Well, sort of him. He was standing upright, smiling, eyes wide open. But there was something wrong. His skin had turned grayish, papery. His mouth moved like he was still whispering, even though no sound came out. His parents said it wasn't him. They said the real Timmy had a birthmark on his collarbone. This version didn't. They buried him anyway. That's when the old story started coming back. People remembered the others, the ones who'd vanished over the years, mostly teenagers. All last seen near that bridge. And always around 3 a.m. But here's where it gets worse. The ones who crossed the bridge? They came back. Not alive. Not quite dead either. Just changed. I didn't believe it until I saw one with my own eyes. And I'm going to tell you everything. One part at a time. This is how it started. I didn't sleep the night after they found Timmy. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that grin, wide, like it had been painted on. Eyes open too long. Blinking, but not like a person does. Like a doll being turned off and on. I started watching the clock more than usual at work. Especially after 2 a.m. It's always dead around then, maybe 1 or 2 truckers grabbing coffee, a sleepy regular looking for smokes. But 3 o'clock? That hour buzzed in my head like a wasp trapped in a bottle. 3 nights later, I made a choice. I wanted to see the bridge for myself. Call it curiosity. Call it stupidity. I just couldn't let it go. Not with what I saw in Timmy's eyes. So at 2:50 a.m., I locked up the gas station, grabbed my flashlight and drove toward Whitlow Road. I parked a little ways down, killed the engine, and walked the last 100 yards through the trees. There it was. The bridge. It looked harmless. Old wood, rotting in spots, sagging at the edges. Thick mist rolled just under its frame, like the creek below had exhaled and forgot how to stop. Moonlight barely reached it, caught in the tangle of black branches above. The trees around it were dead silent. Not even crickets. I checked my phone. 2:59. Then I heard it. A creak. Soft at first. Then louder. Wood groaning under pressure. But no one was on the bridge. I swept the flashlight across it. Nothing. And then, right as the clock ticked to 3 o'clock, I saw it. The figure. It didn't walk onto the bridge. It didn't climb up from below. It just appeared. One moment, the bridge was empty. The next, something was standing at its center. Tall. Slender. Its head was all wrong, like it was craning to hear something that wasn't there. No face I could see. Just folds of pale skin, stretched tight like wax left too close to heat. Its arms hung too low, the fingers twitching in slow, deliberate spasms. It turned to face me. Even though it had no eyes, I knew it saw me. And I couldn't move. The bridge groaned again. But the sound didn't come from the wood, it came from the figure. It groaned. Like it was in pain. Or pretending to be. And then, without a sound, it lifted one arm and pointed. At me. The moment that thing pointed, the air changed. It got thick. Dense. Like breathing through soaked cloth. The flashlight flickered once, then stayed on, but the beam didn't reach the figure anymore. It just stopped. Like the air between us had turned solid. I wanted to run. God, I wanted to run. But something held me there. Not physically. It wasn't like vines wrapped my ankles or roots grabbed my feet. It was worse, it was in my head. A pressure. Like if I moved, something bad would happen. Something worse. The figure took a step forward. The bridge didn't creak this time. It didn't make any noise at all. That's what got me. The silence. Even footsteps should have made something. A shift in the planks, a rustle in the fog. But nothing. Like it didn't weigh anything. Like it wasn't really there. It took another step. That's when I heard it, from behind me. A whisper. Don't look back. It wasn't a voice I recognized, but it was right in my ear. Close. Cold breath brushing my neck. And it said it again. Don't look back. But I did. Of course I did. And I swear to you, I was alone. Nothing but trees. Mist. Gravel trail. No footprints but mine. But then, there was a shape in the fog. Low to the ground. Crawling. I turned back toward the bridge, heart hammering. The figure was gone. But the bridge wasn't empty. Someone else was there now. A boy. Barefoot. Soaking wet. Timmy. He looked at me with those two wide eyes and started walking, toward me, across the bridge. His mouth opened. And the voice that came out wasn't his. It was mine. Help me. Help me. It said it again, but it was my voice, coming from Timmy's mouth. The sound didn't echo like it should have. It just dropped into the air, flat and heavy. Timmy's body moved in that slow, puppet-like way, like something inside was pulling strings but didn't quite know how muscles worked. Every joint was wrong. Loose in the ways joints shouldn't be. And still, he kept coming. I backed up a step, then another. Behind me, the crawling thing in the fog made a wet, slapping noise. Hands or maybe something pretending to be hands smacking the gravel. I was trapped. That's when headlights cut through the woods. A car. Fast. Too fast for this road. I saw it swerve, wheels kicking up dirt as it barely missed a tree. It skidded to a stop just feet from the bridge. Driver's door flew open. Derek? It was Mia. My friend since high school. She must have seen my car abandoned down the road. She ran toward me, her face lit up in brief flashes by the flickering flashlight I still held like a useless weapon. What the hell are you doing out? She stopped. She saw Timmy. And then, she saw behind me. Her face drained of color. She didn't scream. Just whispered, "What is that?" I didn't have time to answer. Because the crawling thing lunged. It didn't attack me, it went for her. There was this snap, like someone twisting wet branches. I turned just in time to see it latch onto her leg, this long, slithering appendage that came from a shadow darker than the night around us. It pulled. Hard. Mia screamed then. The kind of scream that burns into your brain, the kind you never forget. She hit the ground and tried to claw away, her hands grabbing roots, rocks, anything. I reached for her. Too late. It yanked her into the fog. Gone in seconds. Just like that. Silence fell again. Except for one sound. Drip. 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 It was coming from the bridge. I turned back. Timmy was closer. His head tilted. And now, his mouth was smiling. My voice again. "More," he said. I stood there, shaking, staring at the spot where Mia had been. Gone. Just gone. No trail, no scream echoing back, no movement in the fog. Just that awful, rhythmic dripping. Drip. 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 Coming from the bridge. Timmy, or whatever wore his skin, was almost at the edge now. Maybe 10 feet from me. His eyes rolled in opposite directions, like they were loose in his skull, and that smile had stretched too far. Skin around the mouth had started to split. He lifted one hand, fingers curled backward, joints bending the wrong way, and motioned me forward. "Come see," he crooned, voice still mine. "It's beautiful." I ran. Bolted back to the car, tires spitting gravel as I tore down Whitlow Road, branches scraping the sides like fingers trying to hold me back. I didn't stop until I hit the gas station again. I parked sideways across 2 spots, ran inside, locked the doors behind me. And then I checked the monitors. We've got cameras facing the lot and the entrance, right? Cheap, grainy ones, but good enough. And on camera 3, the one pointing toward the highway, I saw something that stopped my breath cold. A figure. Standing perfectly still in the middle of the lot. Not Timmy. Not the thing that took Mia. This one was taller. Thinner. Its head tilted so far to the side it looked broken. And it was holding something. A shape. Slumped. It lifted the object into the camera's view. A body. Mia. But her eyes were open. And moving. Not like she was alive, more like she was watching. Like someone else was looking through her. And then, slowly, that thing began to wave at the camera. With her hand. I didn't move for 10 straight minutes. Just stared at the monitor, heart thudding so hard I thought I might black out. The figure kept waving. Mia's hand. The motion was slow, deliberate, like the muscles remembered how to do it, but the person behind them didn't. I blinked. The screen flickered. When the feed stabilized, the lot was empty. No figure. No Mia. No trace that anything had ever been there. I rewound the footage. Nothing. The time between 2:59 and 3:01 was just static. Like the camera refused to remember. I know what I saw. I know. But the feed had rewritten itself. Erased the moment. I staggered back from the screen, and that's when I noticed the smell. Wet dirt. Rotten wood. Like something from deep underground had followed me back. I spun around. The front door was still locked. Lights flickered overhead, humming like flies in a jar. But there were footprints. Muddy, dark, and wrong. Not shaped like any shoe. Not even human. They led from the back wall, through the wall, and stopped just behind the counter. I heard breathing. Not mine. Deep. Wet. Like lungs that hadn't worked in years were trying again for the first time. And then, from right beside my ear, a voice whispered. "You brought her back." I spun, flashlight raised. Nothing. Just shelves. Snacks. Cold drinks humming in their cases. And then the lights cut out. The hum died. I was alone in pitch black. Until the bell over the front door rang. Ding. Someone, or something, had come in. That bell. That damn bell. I hadn't heard it ring all night, and I knew the door was locked. I checked it myself. But it rang like someone had just walked in. I held my breath and crouched behind the counter, flashlight gripped tight, beam off. The darkness stretched around me like it had weight. Pressure built in my ears, like I was deep underwater. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Slow. Barefoot. Sticky. Slap, slap, slap. They came in through the front, paused near the chip aisle, then turned toward the counter. I pressed myself tighter to the floor, heart hammering so loud I was afraid it would give me away. And then the humming started. A soft melody, off-key. Almost childlike. A lullaby sung too slow, too cold. It moved closer. I could feel it now, heat radiating from its skin like a fever. Or maybe it wasn't heat. Maybe it was rot. I looked up, just barely, enough to glimpse the security mirror above the counter. There it was. Not Timmy. Not the thing from the camera. This one was worse. Its body was wrapped in black, wet fabric, like funeral linen soaked in a lake. Long strands of hair clung to its face. And its mouth was split, not open, but split, right down the center, revealing rows of tiny, human teeth lining the inside like a lamprey. It was dragging something. I followed the trail. A bag. No. Not a bag. A body. Folded, limp. I couldn't make out the face until it turned toward me, letting the overhead light catch it for a moment. It was me. My body. My face. Eyes open. Mouth slightly ajar. Dead. Or close enough. The creature leaned over the body and whispered, tick, tick, tick. And I realized. It had brought me back. I don't remember standing. One moment I was crouched behind the counter, the next I was upright, staring at the thing holding my corpse. It didn't acknowledge me. Just kept whispering to my dead face. Tick, tick, tick. Like it was counting down to something. Or maybe reciting a lullaby only corpses understood. I staggered backward and knocked into the snack rack. Chips spilled across the floor with a crackling avalanche. The thing turned its head, not quickly, not like it was startled. It turned like it had been waiting for that moment. It looked up at me. And it smiled. Its mouth kept splitting. Wider. Deeper. Until its jaw opened so far I heard tendons snap like guitar strings. I bolted. Out the side door, keys still in my pocket from earlier. I don't remember getting in the car. I just remember the door slamming, my hands shaking on the ignition, and the dashboard clock blinking. 3 a.m. Again. That's impossible. Time hadn't moved. I'd been in the store for at least 30 minutes. Maybe longer. But it was still 3 o'clock. And then my reflection in the rearview mirror moved. I didn't. But the reflection did. My head tilted. My smile grew. And then it whispered, through the mirror. You didn't leave the bridge. Not really. The radio crackled to life. Static first, then music, slow piano, haunting and familiar. It was the song I used to hear Mia hum back in high school. The same one she was humming the day before she died. Except. She wasn't dead, was she? I glanced into the back seat. Empty. Then, as the music built to a final, broken note, I saw it. A figure standing in the road ahead. Not moving. Waiting. And behind them. The bridge. No matter where I ran, no matter how far I drove. I was still there. The headlights caught the figure ahead, just a silhouette at first. Then, as I slowed, more details emerged. The posture was wrong. Too stiff, like it had been posed. The arms hung straight down. No sway. No breathing. I swerved to avoid it, tires shrieking across the gravel. But when I looked back in the rearview mirror, the road was empty. And then the bridge was in front of me again. No turn. No loop. Just straight ahead, as if the world was folding in on itself, forcing me to face it. I hit the brakes. The car stalled. Dashboard flickered once, then went dead. Silence. Thick, pressing silence. Then came the knock. From inside the glove box. 3 slow taps. I stared at it, frozen. Then it opened on its own. Inside was a cassette tape. No label. Just a strip of aged black plastic. I don't own a cassette player. But the radio clicked anyway, and the tape began to play. A voice. Distorted. Bridge, test complete. Subject 91 failed. Memory unstable. Loop resetting. I screamed. Not in fear. In anger. I slammed the steering wheel, over and over, until the horn died with a strangled beep. The world outside the windshield shimmered. Like heat waves off asphalt. And then the bridge was gone. Replaced with the gas station. Again. Lights on. My car parked neatly out front. I sat in the driver's seat, hands trembling. And I saw myself inside the store. Standing behind the counter. Staring at the monitors. Watching me. And then the bell rang again. Ding. The version of me inside the gas station didn't blink. Didn't flinch. He just stared at the monitors like they were showing him God. And I sat frozen in the car, watching myself watch. Then he moved. Slowly, deliberately, like he knew I was there. He raised his hand, and waved. That same, awful, slow wave I'd seen Mia do. The same one from the figure on the bridge. I tried the car door. Locked. Window switch. Dead. Then he turned, mirror me, and started walking toward the front door. The bell rang again. But it wasn't from the station. It came from my car. I turned, and my heart stopped. Someone was sitting in the passenger seat. Not there a moment ago. It was Mia. But wrong. Hair too dark. Skin pale and stretched. Eyes cloudy, unfocused. Like she was underwater. She didn't speak. Just held something out. A folded piece of paper. I took it with trembling hands. One word was written across it in smeared ink. Run. The windshield fogged up instantly, a thick smear of condensation like someone had exhaled hard. Through the fog, words began to appear. Written from the outside, like a finger was tracing them backward. You never left. The door locks clicked. My double was at the driver's side now. He leaned in. Same face. Same eyes. Except his had no pupils. Just black. And he mouthed 2 words. Your turn. My hand moved before my brain caught up. I jammed the key back into the ignition. No power. Dashboard dead. But the air inside the car changed, denser, colder. Like the oxygen had been sucked out and replaced with something ancient. I looked at Mia. Or what was left of her. She was crying now. Silently. Tears of ink, thick and oily, streaking down her cheeks and staining her shirt. And then, her mouth opened. But it wasn't words that came out. It was static. That same broken, churning noise from the cassette. My head swam. I reached for the handle, praying it would work. It did. I tumbled out of the car just as my double leaned closer to the window, pressing his face against the glass, grinning. But it wasn't my grin. It was wider. Wrong. Skin stretching with the sound of tearing fabric. I ran. Didn't look back. I didn't care where I went, just away. Into the trees. Through the dark. The forest swallowed me quickly. No stars above. No trail beneath. Just branches clawing at my clothes, my face, my sanity. I didn't stop until I hit something solid. Wood. Rotten. Covered in moss. The bridge. Again. I fell to my knees. And across the bridge, standing just where the mist thickened, were all of them. Timmy. Mia. The crawling thing. My reflection. All lined up like mannequins waiting for their turn in a parade of nightmares. And in the center. The figure. The tall one. Head cocked to the side. Waiting. Its mouth opened. And it spoke in a voice like cracking ice. You crossed. Now you return. You crossed. Now you return. The figure's voice echoed without sound, like the words were stitched into the air itself. I stood slowly, shaking, knees bleeding from the fall. The others didn't move. Just stood there, empty-eyed. Except Mia. She blinked. Once. Then raised her hand. Not to wave. To point. At me. The fog parted like curtains, revealing something behind them. A second bridge. Twisted. Warped. Its planks weren't wood anymore, more like bones, tied with sinew, pulsing like muscle. And beneath it? Not a creek. A mouth. A chasm of teeth, spiraling downward into a throat lined with old screams. The figure stepped aside. Inviting me. Commanding me. My body moved on its own, one foot in front of the other. The moment I stepped onto the bridge, the air trembled. The others followed. Not walking. Gliding. Silhouettes closing in behind me. Each step I took, the bridge groaned, not with age, but hunger. Like it wanted me to fall. Wanted to digest me. I reached the center. The figure met me there. Now up close, I could see its face. It was mine. But older. Eyes sunken. Skin blistered. Like it had spent decades on the other side of something no one should see. It raised its hand, fingers dripping black sap, and touched my chest. Pain shot through me. I screamed. Not from the touch, but from what I saw behind my own eyes. My memories. Not mine anymore. Being erased. One by one. Family. Friends. My home. All going dark. Return, it whispered. Then it stepped backward. And fell off the bridge. Into the mouth. Gone. And the others? They turned to me. And smiled. Like they'd just arrived. The smiles on their faces weren't warm. They weren't even real. They were practiced. Stretched across skin that had forgotten how to feel. Timmy's jaw clicked unnaturally as he smiled wider, wider, until I heard something snap. Mia blinked again. This time, tears flowed, not ink, but something white and waxy, like melted candlelight. One by one, they stepped aside. Revealing a staircase at the far end of the bridge. I hadn't seen it before. Carved from stone, covered in moss and what looked like ash. Leading down. Into the fog. I didn't want to go. Every instinct screamed to turn back. But I knew, if I did, the bridge would take me anyway. Maybe slower. Maybe by force. But this? This was my chance to choose. So I descended. Step after step. And the deeper I went, the colder it got. Not normal cold. Emotional cold. Like the kind that hits you when you wake up and realize you've forgotten your own name. The walls tightened. Roots wrapped around the stone like veins. And then, at the bottom, I saw it. A door. Made of mirrors. Covered in handprints. All of them mine. Every version of me that had ever tried to leave. I reached out. The door opened. And inside? A room. Circular. Stone walls lit by candles that cast no shadows. And in the center. A chair. Facing a massive black screen. Just like the one in the witness room. But this one wasn't blank. It showed a house. My house. The inside. The living room. Empty. Until the door opened and someone walked in. Me. Or someone wearing me. Carrying a bag. Whistling. And on the screen, in the corner. A clock. 3 a.m. I stepped into the circular chamber, the stone floor whispering beneath my shoes like it remembered every footstep that had ever crossed it. The air smelled familiar. Like my childhood basement. Like old dust and static and secrets no one ever said out loud. The screen showed him, the other me, walking through my house, humming the same broken lullaby that had followed me since the bridge. He dropped the bag on the couch with a thud. Something inside it moved. He sat down. Looked directly at the television screen in my living room. And smiled. That same stretched, unnatural smile I'd seen on all of them. Then he reached into the bag and pulled something out. A hand. My hand. Detached. Still wearing my old class ring. He held it up like a trophy. Admired it. Then ate a finger, slowly, chewing thoughtfully like it was jerky. I wanted to scream. Wanted to look away. But the room held me still. Behind me, the door of mirrors sealed shut. No escape. The candles flickered. And then I saw movement, reflected in the polished floor. Shadows gathering behind me. I turned. The others were here now. Timmy. Mia. The thing with too many legs. My reflection. But something had changed. They weren't staring at me anymore. They were staring past me. At the chair. Waiting. I looked at the screen again. Now it showed a bridge. The same one. But this time. I was the figure in the center. I was the one pointing. And people were approaching. New ones. Faces I didn't recognize. One girl stopped halfway across, hesitant. And I, on the screen, opened my mouth. My voice, low and distant. You crossed. Now you return. I wasn't me anymore. I was next. I backed away from the screen, from the chair, from the realization that had dropped like ice into my spine. But my feet didn't move. They were no longer mine. I looked down, barefoot now. Skin gray. Toes curling slightly against the stone. The hand that had once held the flashlight was elongated, fingers twitching in that too slow, too wrong rhythm I'd seen on Timmy. And my reflection in the mirrored door behind me? It wasn't mimicking anymore. It was waiting. Smiling. The others circled closer. Timmy reached out and touched my arm, his fingers cold and hollow like bones dipped in fog. Welcome, he whispered, like a breath exhaled through rotting cloth. You watch now, Mia said softly. You choose who returns. The screen changed again. More people. Walking toward the bridge. Teenagers. A hiker. A woman with a dog. I could feel it, deep in my ribs, a pull. A hunger. Choose one. That's what the bridge wanted. That's what I wanted. I turned to the chair. And sat. It fit me perfectly. As if it had been waiting for me to stop running. As if this had always been where I was headed. The others faded into the stone, back into the roots, into the bridge, into time. Only the screen remained. And me. And the voice in my head, whispering. Choose one. So I did. Because I wasn't the victim anymore. I was part of the bridge. And when the clock strikes 3:00, I'll be waiting. The end.